Hey friends, how are you? I hope you're having a great day. Today we're going to draw a face. But before we go much further with the video, I'm going to give you some unusual directions. What I want you to do is I want you to draw a face. Any face, the best you can. And when we are finished with the video, I want you to compare the face that you draw after you follow the directions and watch the video with the face that you're going to draw right now. So I'm going to have you pause the video, draw a face, and then start the video again. Okay? All right, friends, so you should be back now and you have drawn your face. Just set that aside and we're going to get started with drawing our face. Now, when you're drawing a face, there are some basic guidelines that you follow so that you draw all of your features in about the right place. These guidelines I'm showing you today are for drawing a perfectly symmetrical face, and we know nobody has a perfectly symmetrical face. But these guidelines will help you get started. And then once you're pretty familiar with where the guidelines are, then you can start playing with where you put things, your eyes and your nose and your mouth, to make it look like a real person. So for example, these two, this girl and this boy, are drawn using the guidelines. So they don't really look like anybody, they just look like all the features are in the right spot and they look perfect. We know nobody's perfect. Once you get done with this video, you'll have a better idea of where things need to go, and then you can start playing with the features. So for example, with this girl, I made the nose a little wider, and with this girl, I made the nose a little narrower, the mouth a lot narrower, and the eyes a lot bigger. So she actually looks like somebody, and her eyebrows are different. So let's get started, and I will show you what these guidelines are. And remember, at any point in this video, you can stop and pause it, and then turn it back on to catch up. Now, the first thing you need to do is think about the shape of your face. It's not really a circle, it's more of an oval or an egg shape. So when you start drawing, I'm going to start up here. I like to start with just a curved line at the top, because that's going to be the top of the head, and a curved line at the bottom. Okay, and when you are drawing, you are definitely going to want to change some of the lines that you make. Now, generally when I do this, I draw super sketchy lines because I know that it pretty much never turns out exactly the shape that I want. So don't forget to turn your paper around, because it's much easier to draw in certain directions. You'll figure out what's comfortable for you. I can already tell that's going to be a little crazy sticking out. Sometimes it's hard to talk and draw at the same time. So anyways, let me get this line drawn. I can tell that I'm going to want to fix that up. So, all right, so here's my egg shape, and you can tell that right there when we were talking, I was getting a little messed up there. So no big deal. I'm actually going to turn my paper. I can see what the problem is. This line is curving out a little bit too far. So I'll just fix that up. Okay, and remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. This is a scratch piece of paper, and when you're finished, you can transfer this onto a good piece of paper, because you're not going to want all the lines and things on your final drawing that we're going to add here. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I am going to divide this in half vertically. So I'm going to measure it. It's about 5 inches, so I'm going to go to that 2.5 inch mark, and I'm going to divide it in half vertically. And when I do this, I'm really going to be able to see where my face is not symmetrical. And I can change that now, or when I'm all finished, I can change it. So like, for example, if you're making a boy or a man, sometimes their chins are a little more square. And when you're making a lady or a girl, sometimes the chins are a little more pointy. So that's something that you can fix later, and you can also fix when you're looking at your subject or your photographic reference. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to divide my head in half. So this is about 8 inches. So I'm going to go to the 4 inch mark, and I'm going to draw a nice straight line. I'm taking my time to be pretty careful. This line, we're going to call this line number 1. This line is going to bisect your eyes. So that means it's going to go through the middle of your eyes. So you know you're going to be drawing the eyes right on that line. Then I'm going to go down and I'm going to measure from line number 1 down to the chin. And I can see that that's about 4 inches, so I'm going to divide that in half. So that gives me 2 inches. So I want to divide the area between line number 1 and the chin in half. And that gives me a 2 inch, so I'm going to draw a line right there. This is line number 2, and your nose will sit on this line. Okay. Then we're going to go down to line number 2 in the chin, and I'm going to divide that in half again. And some people will divide this into thirds and do it that way, but I like to divide it in half. I just think it's a little bit easier. So it's 2 inches, so half of 2 is 1. So I'll draw a line there. And this is going to be line 3, and your mouth, the bottom of your mouth, sits on this line. Okay, so we have line 1, that's going through the middle of your eyes. Line 2, your nose will sit on that, and line 3, your mouth will sit on that. I'm going to go back up to the top here, and I'm going to measure from the top of the head to line 1, and I'm going to draw, I need to divide that in half. So it's 4 inches, so I'm going to go to the 2 inch mark and draw a line right there. I'm going to call that line A, okay? So the first thing I did was I divided the whole head in half. That was line 1. Then I divided the space between line 1 and the chin in half. That's line 2. Then I divided the space between line 2 and the chin in half, and that was line 3. Then I went up and I divided the space between the top of the head and line 1 in half, and that was line A. So remember, at any point you can stop and pause the video and draw your lines in if I'm going too quickly. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to add the eyes. So there's a little trick to adding the eyes. You can actually fit 5 eyes across a face. That's what the guidelines say. So I should be able to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? So it's really, really important that the space be from this line to the beginning of your eye and this line to the beginning of your eye are equal. That's really important. So you can maybe draw a little line and a little line and kind of look at them and make sure they're equal. Okay? And if they are, that's going to be your middle eye. And then you can draw the eye beside it, another eye beside it. It's kind of like you have this invisible eye in the middle of your forehead, okay? Okay, so this is really important that these are equal, and I'm looking at this, and this part looks longer than this part. I can measure it with my pencil if I want to check, and I can tell that it's definitely longer, so I can use my pencil to fix that if I want, or I could use my ruler if I wanted to. I'm just trying to show you some other ways to measure things. So I measured from this line right here. That's where I think I'm going to start my eye. So I measured from that line to this middle line, and then I just moved my pencil to make sure they were about equal. Okay? All right, so this would be where that invisible eye is, right here. So I can draw that if I want. And that means that I need to be able to fit 2 eyes here and 2 eyes here. And I can see that this is a little bit big. Remember, these are guidelines, so they're not going to be exact. But I do know that my eye is going to be about that big. And I'm going to be honest with you, that looks a little big for me. I feel like that's not going to work. So, and I'm not going to start this tape over again. I want you to see that it takes a little bit of practice to do this, and that even people that have made lots of these have to play with a little bit and make mistakes and fix them so that they look right. So if I do that, that looks more like a reasonable size eye, and I think I can fit 5 of these across my face. Okay. Okay, so this is that invisible eye. These are the 2 eyes I want to keep, and then I'm going to erase the rest of them. Okay, so I'm going to erase those. I'm going to erase that invisible eye, and I'm going to erase that. Okay, now I'm going to shape these eyes a little bit. I know that this is about where I want them, so I'm going to shape them, and I'm going to keep in mind, and I'm actually even going to go over this line again. I want to make sure that you can see it. Okay, I'm going to keep this line in mind because if I want to make my eyes symmetrical, I know that the top part and the bottom part need to be equidistant or the same distance from that middle line. Okay, all right, so now I'm going to go over here and do this one. Okay, and I can already tell that this is a little bit smaller than this, so I can just go like that, kind of bring my pencil over, and then I can show myself that this curved line actually needs to go up to there and back down. Okay, remember, you can come back and fix these once you have your features in place. You can come back and shape them and make them the way that you want. Okay. Okay, I'll probably come back and fix that because I can tell it's pretty close. Okay, I'm going to erase these extra lines for now. Okay, like I said, I'm not going to restart this tape every time I'm not happy with what I'm doing. I want you to see that it just takes time and patience to make this happen. Okay, so we have the outline of our eyes. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make our pupil. That's the little black part of your eye. And again, use that guideline, and that can help you see the top and the bottom are about the same. And now I want to go over and make my pupil in about the same place on this line. And I want to make sure that the top and the bottom are about the same. Okay, now the pupil is dark, but there is usually a highlight. I'm going to put the highlight down here. I hope you can see that I drew this little tiny circle right here. That's going to be the highlight, and I'm going to color in everything except that highlight. Okay, and I'm going to put the same one over here. You can always come back and fix that later and erase that. Or mine didn't show up real well. We're going to just leave that and not worry about that. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is make the colored part of your eye, the iris. Now, if you were to look in the mirror, you would see that you don't see very much. You won't see any white up here or any white down here. You only see white on the sides of your eyes. So when we make our circle for our iris, I'm actually going to extend it outside of the eye. Okay, and I'm making those circles with my pencil, and then when I'm happy with it, I'll go over it a little bit darker. Okay, I'm making it dark here so you can see it. You can see that part of the circle extends above the eye and part of the circle extends below the eye. I'm going to do the same thing over here. And then when I'm happy with it, I can darken it up. Okay, I can see that this one's a little bit bigger, so I may have to come back and fix this when I'm done with y'all. Okay, and I'm going to erase that extra part of the circle. Okay. Okay, now I can start thinking about the placement of my nose. Okay. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to go from the inside of the eye, the inside point, to line number 2. Okay, and then draw a line. Then you're going to go from the inside point to line number 2, and you're going to draw a line. And now you can see why I said it's really, really important to make sure that your eyes are the same distance from this center line. Because if I continue on, this part of my nose is going to be really big and this part of my nose is going to be really small. So it's going to look really funny. So I need to scoot my eye over a little bit because I can tell that this will not work out if I don't. And that is part of the process, my friends. It's part of the process. And you know what? I do have a ruler. So if I really wanted to, I can take my ruler and measure this, and it's exactly a ½ inch. Imagine that. So I know that this is actually where the end of my eye needs to be, right here. So I'm going to go ahead and fix that. And you may find that you'll have to do something like this too. And you need to know that that is okay. It's part of the process. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to super quick do this so you're not waiting forever while I fix my mistakes. Okay. All right. So we're just going to call that okay. And of course, when I'm all finished with this, I can come back and fix that. All right. So that's better. Oh, my line is not exactly at the end of my eye. That's why it didn't work out right. So there's the end of my eye, and there we go. All right, so now I'm ready to make my nose. We'll come back and finish up the eyes in a minute. So for your nose, noses are hard to draw because they stick out of your face. So we're just going to draw sort of the illusion of a nose, and what you want to do is put a little circle here. You're going to erase this, but this little circle helps you know how you want to make your lines for your nose. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to do a curved line up, then it goes under your circle, then it curves back up. Okay, that's just the illusion of a nose, and you can erase that circle. If you think that you can see nostrils, you can add those in if you want. Okay, and then you can add those little parentheses that are the sides of people's noses. Okay, and that's pretty much all we're going to do with the nose for now. Okay, so now we need to figure out the mouth. Now remember, the nose sits on line number 2. So you could see that my nose is sitting on line number 2. So if you were drawing someone with a really big nose, it would probably be wider, and this part of your nose can go down a little bit lower. So there's all different ways that humans are different, and once you get used to the guidelines and where things are supposed to be, then you can look at a photograph and draw it the way it really is, because you'll have a reference point. Okay, so now let's do the mouth. The mouth, to figure out where the mouth goes, you need to go back up to your pupil, and let's remove her. Go back up to the center of your pupil, and you're going to draw a line down to line number 3. Okay, center of pupil, center of pupil. Line number 3 is where your mouth is going to sit. So you can start drawing the bottom of your mouth, okay, and it will probably go over, this is what it's supposed to do, it's supposed to go over there, okay, and then you want to draw the top of your mouth, and the top of your mouth, I usually like to start with that line right there because that helps me get everything centered. Then you go up and meet the corner, go up and meet the corner, okay? Now, this is another place where people really differ. Some people have a really large mouth, some people have a smaller mouth, some people have an upper lip that is thinner than their bottom lip, so when you're drawing, you can keep that in mind. The place where the lips separate is usually mirrors the top lip, so you can draw that. So if this person that I was drawing had, well, they kind of have a little bit of a larger lower lip, but if they did, I would just move this line up, and then you would see a larger lower lip and a smaller upper lip. Okay, so let's go back up to our troublesome eyes. Eyes are the hardest thing to draw because they are one of our methods of communication. We can communicate things just by looking at people. So eyes are really tough to draw. Okay, so we're going to draw an eyelid, and the eyelid is just another line exactly like this line right on top. Okay, so that's one eyelid, and there's another eyelid. Okay, now for your eyelashes, you need to look in a mirror and see how your eyelashes grow. So I have a picture here, and you can see that her eyelashes grow out of her eyelid, not out of this part, but they don't grow out of your eyelid, they grow out of this part of your eye. Okay, so when you draw your eyelashes, they need to come out of that part of your eye. And some people have tiny little eyelashes, and some people have really long, lovely lashes. So you have to think about what kind of lashes. And you do have little lashes on the bottom too, so you can draw those. Now, lashes do not look like this, okay? They curl a little. So when you make your eyelashes, sometimes what I like to do is kind of like a little check mark, where I put my pencil down and then flick it. Okay, so you can do that to make your eyelashes. Okay, I'm only going to make a few eyelashes here. I can come back and fix that too. Okay, so now we need to do some eyebrows. Eyebrows obviously are above your eyes, and oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to do the little tear duct. So this original eye line that we drew, if you continue that down just a little bit, you can make a tear duct. Okay, now, so I'm going to go over here and bring that line down just a little bit and make a tear duct. Okay, all right, so now I want to do my eyebrow there above the eye, and if you want, you can draw an outline of how you want it to be, where you want the arch to be and how you want it to end. But keep in mind that it's little hairs that grow. So when you're drawing them in, you want to draw them like you would draw hair. Okay? And you can just decide how you want your eyebrows to look. Some people have really beautiful groomed eyebrows, and some people have crazy bushy eyebrows, and that's another way that you can make your your portrait actually look like someone. These are the things that make each of us unique, and those are the things that you need to look at when you are drawing the picture of somebody. Okay, remember, these are just guidelines. Nobody looks this perfect. Well, maybe not this perfect. Okay, so we also need some ears. So the ears go between 1 and 2. Okay, and they just curve up, and the ears are a whole lesson in and of themselves. We're not going to worry about that right now. Okay, so there are your ears. Your neck is really important. If you draw a little neck like that, it's going to look crazy because your head is heavy, and a tiny little celery stalk neck like that isn't going to work. So you need to make your neck so that it will support your head coming out from between line 2 and 3. Okay? All right, now let's go up to the hair. There are different ways to draw hair. Line A is the hairline. So your hair will come down to here. Even if you don't have bangs, your hair comes down partway on your forehead. Okay? This is like the top of your head. Not your forehead. This is your forehead. This is the top of your head. So let's talk a minute about different kinds of hair that you can draw. So we'll put her aside for a second, and I have some hair already drawn here, and I want to show you how the hair works. So I'm actually going to take a skinny Sharpie here, and so if you can see, these are our lines. So this is the hairline. This is the eye line, the nose line, and the mouth line. Okay, so when you are drawing your hair, start with the shape of your hair as it is on the forehead. Okay, so if you are, I'm doing some shorter hair now. Okay, so maybe somebody has some bangs like that. Okay, this is your headline that you drew. Your hair goes above your head unless you are completely bald. It goes above your head. Okay, so it would look like that. And once you're finished with your hair, you erase that line A and the top line. So once you're finished with your hair, you would erase line A and this top part of your head. Okay, so let's check out another one. So here's the top of our head. Here's line A. Okay, so I want to draw some more short hair. So I'm going to go around like this. And this hair is very carefully shaped. It's going to look like that. Okay, now that looks crazy. I'm going to erase the top of the head and line A. And there's what that kind of hair would look like. Okay, so let's say you just have a little bit of bangs and maybe some curly hair up at the top. Okay, so here's line A, here's the top of your head. I just drew a wavy line, and then make sure your hair goes above the top of your head. Okay, then we'll erase that and see how that looks. All right, so that's some short hair. Let's talk about some long hair now. So maybe you have some long hair and you have bangs that you tuck behind your ears. So here is the hairline way up here. This right here is the eye line. So here's the hairline, line A. This line that's right up here. Okay. So what you would do is, remember, draw your forehead first. Draw the shape of the hair on your forehead first, and then draw the shape of your hair that's around your head. Okay, so I'm going to do that. There's the shape of my hair on my forehead, and here's the shape of my hair as it is around my head. And then you erase this part, and then you have some hair. Okay, so let's try with somebody that has maybe some short hair and some bangs. Here's the top of our head. Here's line A. Okay, the bangs come part way down your forehead. And you have a little blunt cut maybe. And that's it. Oop, I better put some hair up there. And you just erase. And there you go. Now, let's say you like to wear your hair in a ponytail. So draw the shape of your hair on your forehead. Okay, and then you're just going to draw your hair coming off of your head a little ways. Okay, so here's our headline. I just kind of traced around it a little bit, not way far off like I did on this one, because the hair is supposed to be looking like it's close to your head. Then your ponytail comes out of the top. Okay, and there you go. And then I'll erase this part. And there we have a ponytail. Okay. So let's say you have bangs. Remember, always draw the shape of it on your forehead. And you like to wear a headband. So this would be if you like to wear a headband. Remember, the hair comes a little ways off the top of your head. Okay. And then this part right here was the original part of the head we drew. This part right here. So I actually kept that, and then I just drew another line, got thinner down here, thicker up here where the headband would be, showing more. Color that in. Of course, you would want to color it some groovy color. All right, and then you would not have much to erase on that one, just those extra lines, okay? Now, if you have some crazy Mrs. Parker hair that doesn't make sense any way you look at it, sometimes my hair is on my forehead, sometimes it's not, so I would just draw something like that. Okay, so there's my hairline. Make sure it's down by your ears too. Make sure you draw your lines down to your ears because your hair is by your ears. And then my hair has a mind of its own, so I'm just going to draw it having a mind of its own. Okay, and then I would want to erase this part right here. Okay, and all this extra stuff down here. All right, so let's go back to our original drawing. So now I need to draw some hair. And I think that I will draw, let me see, I think I'll draw something like this. Okay, so that means I want to draw a part. Okay, so I'm going to start it a little bit above the hairline, and I'm going to go down here like this, and like here like this, and yep, it might cover some of your eyebrow. That's okay. Okay, now I'm going to go above this to draw the rest of the hair. I'm going out and around. This hair is tucked behind my ear. Okay, and then I'll go around here and do the same thing. Okay. Oh, getting a little careless there, Mrs. Parker. Okay, all right, and there's my hair. Now, what you would want to do with this is you can transfer it to a good sheet of paper now, because obviously, even if I tried to erase this, there'd still be all kinds of marks over it. So you can erase the parts that you wouldn't use, like all of these lines and this line up here. You can hold it up to, put it on your good piece of paper. You can hold it up to a window and trace it, or you can color on the back with your pencil and then transfer it to your clean sheet of paper by tracing over, not that line, tracing over the lines that you want. Okay? So, friends, I hope that you have fun. Oh, and then after you're done with this, make sure you look at the portrait that you drew before we started and see how it looks different. I hope you have fun with this. I hope that you take some time to make this portrait, and then you can make some changes to make the people look more realistic. I mean, this person looks, yes, all of the features are in the right spot, but it's like one of those perfect people, and that's not how we look. So here's this girl with everything is in the right spot. Here's this guy, everything is in the right spot, but that's not really how we look. So once you figure out how to do this, and you've done this a couple of times, then it's time to start playing with where you place the features. So for example, see how small her mouth is. Her mouth is supposed to come, you're supposed to have your mouth come out this far, but I made hers only come out that far because I wanted someone with a little mouth. So have fun with this. Send me your portraits and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye, friends.